Now, for students wishing to go to New Zealand and Australia, there's some bad news coming in, which is that both countries have now tightened their visa rules. They've become more stringent, with now being a steep increase as far as student visa fees is concerned. They've doubled it, in fact, in New Zealand and Australia, along with a whole host of other changes that have now been made. Besides the fact that visa fee has now doubled from New Zealand dollars $375 to $750. Financial requirements have also increased for students, essentially making it tougher in terms of immigration rules. Also, English proficiency required for low-skilled jobs as well. Remember, in the last 8-9 months, both Australia and New Zealand have taken steps to make the immigration route tougher for students as well as for other categories, and this is the latest step in the same direction. The larger question is, why is it happening? What is the trend indicative of, and what do Indians do now, and how much of a dent is it going to be for Indian students and their prospects? To talk on that, let's get in immigration expert Rohit Sharma joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Sharma, thank you so much for taking out the time. Some of the rules that have now been tightened do indicate that as far as the immigration route is concerned, countries are now making it tougher. In your assessment, what's the impact for Indian students, specifically for Australia and New Zealand, where these latest changes have just come in?
Yeah, in fact, thank you very much for getting on the show. As regard these changes are concerned, they are definitely going to impact. The figures are there to speak about. What actually also has happened in the last 2 years, specifically, both Australia and New Zealand has record immigration. So record immigration of students, landing up in Australia and New Zealand. So against the kind of demand they have, the supply obviously was pretty huge. Now to address that, they are tightening up the rules in terms of IELTS. We talk about increasing the fee as well. So Indian students will definitely, most of the students who are looking forward to Australia were beginning to look towards New Zealand. Now with Australia, also with New Zealand also, increasing the points, then obviously they will start looking at different destination as well. But still, Australia and New Zealand offer very quality courses. There will be always a segment of students that would like to go there and, make their respective career.
Yes. Mr. Sharma, can you just keep your video frame the way you had kept it originally and not move it? Okay, and let me then also ask you that, there's now a larger trend that's taking place, whether it is US, whether it's UK, Australia, New Zealand. These routes are being made more difficult, or the route is now being made stringent with tighter norms coming in. There's a broader trend that's now happening, isn't it? Across geographies. Mr. Sharma, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
This is now a global trend, isn't it? US, UK, Australia, New Zealand. There's now a trend that's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a trend that is happening, but that is what I'm saying. There is always against the expectation of these countries, about on the number of students in terms of their demand. The supply is always there. So yes, the trend is now beginning to happen where these countries are also looking at more of these the cost and other factors are being taken care by the students only, not by the local taxpayer, that they are not funding these students through the local taxpayers of those countries. So all these things are therefore being happening. It certainly impacts, and it is not just going to impact the students, it is also going to impact the universities there as well, because they are also at large run by these students. Exactly. India continues to be one country, after China, which is which has the maximum number of students landing in New Zealand after China, basically. So India continues to be a huge resource for these countries.
Indeed. As an expert, if there's one piece of advice, caution, or guidance that you would like to give to students wanting to visit these and study at these universities, what would that be?
Yeah, one aspect that now students have to be very clear about is that if they are going for studies in these countries, they have to be very specific of the reason for what they want to study. If they are just looking forward to study in these countries from the perspective of migration, right, that they will study there for a couple of years and eventually will take a residency of that country, then they really need to have a relook of their plans. So accordingly, they should budget their education because if they are thinking from the perspective of taking a long tenureship in those countries, after studying, because these countries are even curtailing the work visa standings of post the study of a student there in countries. So they have to budget their plans towards education purely from the perspective of education only, nothing more.
All right, remains to be seen what could be the kind of mechanism that some of these countries come up with to deal with immigration, but at the same time also address labor shortages in their home countries as well. Thank you so much, Rohit Sharma, for decoding that important story for us.